Hello everyone, my name is Bridget, and today I wanted to talk to you about how to develop your extrasensory perceptions and intuition without New Age pressure, because that pressure can actually stop up that development, and I wanted to talk about that a bit with you and also share a little bit of story time of a recent experience I had about this, and so we can all learn from this together. I'm in Berkeley, California in a random park. I wanted to just make this video and this was the moment I had. So let's dive into the story. So I just got back from an amazing month-long trip in Europe. And one of the things that I was so grateful to do was to visit the Bosnian pyramids. And we went to a conference, an official conference, and I was just a participant, which felt really fun because no one knew who I was. Well, a few people did in the group, but I was just off the radar, right? And in the group, there was this amazing co-leader that was an incredible psychic, like a true balanced psychic. And she was off the charts. Like everywhere we'd go, she'd be seeing everything. You know those people, do you know what I'm talking about? Where they see everything. Like that's how they exist through life. And so for me, I have a lot of these abilities as well, and they come up for me, quite often, all the time, but not to the degree that this lady experienced. And so thus I put pressure on myself and was like, Bridget, what is your problem? Why are you not perceiving and seeing all these things, particularly through my clairvoyance? That was her main clair, and I'm like, come on, clairvoyance, where are you at? And so after a couple days of this, I was just like, whatever, maybe I'm not gonna experience anything. And the funny thing is I had just been in England and had so many experiences and so many visuals, but in this case, I wasn't. So I sat in these tunnels, which I'm gonna share a video about in the coming weeks, these healing tunnels. And I just sat in meditation and I was like, screw it. You know what? It's not happening right now. But I can practice meditation. I can still show up for myself, for my spiritual practice, my spiritual development, and that's all that matters anyways. And so I sat there and I truly surrendered any necessity of needing to experience anything at all. And of course, that's when things started to happen. And so the first lesson in this is you gotta show up. And so I wanna make sure you caught those 2 points. The recipe here for how this unfolded for me, how these experiences happened in this particular story, and how they've happened many times before. One is you show up. You keep showing up. So there is this idea that you go to this sacred place, or you sit down to meditate, or you do this certain thing on this gateway, full moon, and the world is supposed to open dimensional portals and you're supposed to meet extraterrestrials or have a divine contact experience with an angel. And it doesn't always happen that way, especially when you put it on pressure. But the first step is to show up. But to show up without any expectations of what's going to happen. Because you might have to show up dozens of times with pure intention, which is actually another piece of it, showing up with pure intention, with no expectations, and that is step one for the availability of anything to come through. And if you're showing up wanting something to happen, things just won't happen, especially because if you're wanting to have particular communications with spiritual beings, they will not come into communication. You won't even be able to perceive them without pure intention. So that right there is the vibrational match to the reality that we're wanting, as well as if you're getting interactions but you're in that needy space, it might not be actually who you're wanting to interact with. So that was the first thing, right? Is you saw my pure intention of showing up without expectation. The second piece, which is in tandem with this, is surrender. I surrendered the need for anything to happen, which that surrender brought me into the moment, brought me into presence rather than into my head and self-judgment. And in that presence, I could then actually be existing with the space, with myself, and things can actually start to come through. So surrendering is another key piece of this equation. As I sat there surrendered in meditation, I let go of how I translate spirit, or how I translate these extrasensory perceptions and organs of perception that I have. And once I surrendered those, what the pyramid and these tunnels were actually wanting to teach me is a new way that I was able to perceive. And so instead of clairvoyance turning on, which is usually, it's usually clairsentience and the kinesthetic kind of perceptions, which is my strongest clairvoyance being my second. And so without the clairvoyance that was actually literally turned off in these tunnels, other things could be perceivable. And so that's another thing about the surrendering of the expectations, is when we surrender those, something can come in a way beyond our mind into the imaginative realm of possibility, and it could be something even better, which was what came through for me, which had to do with the activation of my hands, which has been coming up time and time again, and how I really want to start utilizing them even more in healing, which is actually why I'm in Berkeley doing a healing training, and maybe working with people during my physical retreats, because I want to work with people in person and activate that. So a lot was coming through with my hands, all this different kind of working of, it was beyond chi, it was like cold plasma energy and healings that were taking place that then I ended up doing during the solstice time, and different contact experiences, and just levels of perception and understanding of, say, the technology of the pyramids that was able to be downloaded because I was in this free flow of something new. This was something entirely new, so I had to drop everything that I thought it could be or thought I should be doing in that space. So that's an example of how that came through. Another example, and then I want to get into kind of how this relates to you and the cultural New Age pressure in just a second. But this also happened when my clairvoyance turned on, which was a specific experience in Sedona, a contact meditation that I did. And I sat down, just, a normal day, another meditation, and boom, had my sober DMT trip, which you can look at in the videos. I'll put the link here so you can go watch that and what came through. But after I had that crazy, incredible experience, which also had to do with my hands, the next day, that next morning, my clairvoyance fully turned on. I always had a good visual apparatus, but the actual clair turned on. So that's another example. And really, when it comes down to it, we just have to keep on showing up. And in, say, the pyramids, I meditated with Patrick for about 30 to 40 hours minimum, probably more like 35, 40 hours over a 10-day period. And there were hours of it where, not much was happening, or it was quiet, or it was just a relaxing experience. It didn't mean that things were just wild and crazy all the time, which gets me into this kind of cultural New Age pressure vibe that I've been just seeing a lot of, and kind of getting to be on the outskirts, assisting and leading in different ways, in physical, in person, in retreats, and seeing people in Facebook groups and all these different things. You know what I'm talking about. When you might, or you see other people feeling the pressure to have had some kind of spiritual experience. Maybe it's a full moon. Maybe you just did a meditation together. Maybe you're doing whatever this thing is, and it's your turn to share in the group, and you're just kind of whip something out of your ass, or it's a stretch, or where maybe someone actually just starts kind of making things up to get value, because it's one of the ways to get value and spiritual street cred in the community, to be saying, I'm lucid dreaming all the time and I had contact with this being and all this stuff is happening. Now, there are people that are having that all the time. I have friends that are in that position. I have it a lot of the time. There's some people that don't have it as much. It goes in waves as well, which I'll talk about in other videos. So first and foremost, this pressure doesn't help anything, because we're comparing ourselves, well, one, to other people, which really doesn't work, because we all came in with very different spiritual organs of perception based on other lives of what we've already cultivated that's held within our etheric body, any limitations or traumas that we may have had, how much clearing we've done on that, how much development we've done on our own, right? How much we've actually shown up to meditate, how much we've actually done our yoga and our different practices and spiritual practices, different places, different times, different alignments, based on our own soul blueprint that we designed to come in here. We all came in so different. And I just want to say that, and whatever your uniqueness is, it's designed specifically for you, and that is profound. And so to honor and to know and to trust that your soul, like your higher self, has it figured out, and you will have these openings like when it's time, and you'll be led to these certain things that will help release or heal you to then have those openings. And even though the whole other parts of the community or your certain friends are having these experiences, just don't feel bad, don't feel pressure, just relax, continue to show up, continue to surrender, and everything will actually align and activate, okay? So that's what I just see a lot. And if you do ever feel pressure, and there are times, I got this reflection on the Glastonbury retreat I just did, that I say, I don't know. Like, I don't know what the energy of that thing is, or I don't know what that means. I haven't studied that yet. And it's okay to not know. Like, I'm not a spiritual master. I'm just developing myself as best I can, and we're all at different paces of what we've experienced. But to just let off that pressure, I think is really important. And I think it's really important for the spiritual New Age community, because then we can be honest and authentic with where we're at right now. And when we act from where we're actually at right now, then it's truly pure and aligned, which then creates this flow current to actually create accelerated manifestation and development and communion and connection with each other and with spirit. So it's highly significant. And so just if you see yourself doing that, or if you see other people doing that, just relax on yourself, relax on them, you know, and just alleviate that pressure. And I think that's really healthy and important for our community right now. So I guess that's a little community announcement. But I just wanted to say that because this is an experience that I've been seeing around me a lot. And then I put my own pressure on myself in that, you know, circumstance. And we just do better without it, if you know what I mean. So I'm going to be doing a lot more videos. I know I went a little bit MIA. The travels were amazing and intense, and I had to integrate a lot, and I didn't have a lot of internet. But I will be coming at you with new videos every week for sure, for the rest of the summer, and a lot of really good ones too. If you have any specific things that you'd like me to go over, specifically how to develop these extrasensory perceptions, the first two keys of showing up and surrendering are actually first two steps of it. But if you want me to go deeper into it, please let me know, and I'd be happy to do that, because I'm loving the subject at the moment, because so much has been coming up for me in this category. And any other videos you'd like me to do, please comment below. And if you liked this video, please hit like, and please subscribe and hit the bell button so you get notifications every time I do new videos. And I just love and appreciate you, and wishing you all the best on your own spiritual journey, no matter how it unfolds for you.